agenda and a lot of ceremonial presentations tonight. The first of which was not on the agenda, but we had earlier today in recognition of September 11th, 2001. I'd like to thank the Sheriff's Department and the Central Fire and all the city staff that showed up for our recognition of those who lost their lives on September 11th, 2001. I think we all know the tragedy that occurred there. Some 2,977 citizens and first responders perished in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Today is a day of remembrance, but also a day that is of service. They've helped someone. So we have now this proclamation that we have fully signed now. And I'd like to present it to our new... Hold on. You're new. You went the wrong way.
Sorry.
That's okay.
They keep changing and moving.
They change it all.
Things too.
Whereas on September 11th, 2001, 4 U.S. commercial airplanes were hijacked and 2,977 citizens and first responders perished in New York City, Washington, D.C., and outside of Shanksville, Pennsylvania, in a terrorist attack. And whereas 2 of the airplanes were intentionally crashed into the World Trade Center in Manhattan, where 2,735 people lost their lives. The 3rd plane was crashed into the Pentagon building in Washington, D.C., where another 184 people perished. The 4th plane, which was scheduled to land right here in San Francisco, the passengers and crew who discovered what had happened to the other planes bravely took action to avoid further weaponization of their plane. And in so doing, in a Pennsylvania field, they will forever be known as heroes. And whereas the terror and loss inflicted on our nation seared in our hearts and memories only showed what we as people, as Americans, are truly made of, demonstrated by the people who came to the aid of those in need that day, to help the survivors, the injured, and the responders. And whereas our first responders, who unselfishly and bravely went into harm's way, to rescue and treat thousands of citizens, and in so doing, bravely sacrificed their lives in the line of duty. And whereas on December 18th, 2001, the United States Congress designated September 11th of each year as Patriot Day, to honor all those who lost their lives, and to remember the patriots who stepped up in our time of need. And whereas on September 11th, 2016, President Obama proclaimed that day as Patriots' Day and National Day of Service and Remembrance. We will never forget and thank all the first responders and citizens who volunteered. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim September 11th, 2018, as Patriots' Day and Day of Service and Remembrance in recognition of all those. Okay. So we had the U.S. Naval cadets, Sea Cadets, do the presentation of the flag and play not only the national anthem but taps earlier today. I'm sorry if you missed it. There was also a very large American flag out there, so we thank everyone. And with the ladder truck, yes. Really cool. Very cool ladder truck. So, Chief, actually, why don't you introduce yourself here for the first time to the residents of Millbrae, and we'll make this presentation.
Thank you, Mayor Pappin, Honorable City Council, Mr. Williams. My name is Paul Kunkel. I'm a captain with the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office, and I've been assigned as your new police chief. I have 23 years in the business. I did 10 years with the City of Menlo Park, where I served as a major crimes investigator, and I was a sergeant for 3 years. I went to the Sheriff's Office in 2005. I worked patrol all over. I've been a narcotics agent at our county task force. I've worked on a state narcotics task force. I've worked gang task force at every rank. I was the director of the Office of Emergency Services for a year, and I've worked in corrections at all ranks as well. I have a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Law and Society from the University of California, Santa Barbara. I have a Master of Arts degree in Management with emphasis in organizational leadership from American Public University, and I serve on the board of directors for the Mental Health Association of San Mateo County. The Mental Health Association is a group, it's a nonprofit that serves the homeless and chronically homeless mentally ill. I'm a big advocate for the mentally ill. I'm very engaged. I intend to really embrace the community of Millbrae. You're going to see a lot of me. As I point out to the mayor, I'm hard to miss. So I intend to be out and about in town and serve you as well as I can.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Arna, if you could come out here, please. Are you in there, Ann?
I am.
Okay. Thank you.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, thanks. We're going to give that to Trent.
Awesome. Thank you.
And welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
The chief won't say it, but I'm a huge sports fan, and he played guard for the UCSB football team.
Oh. And I will say go Gauchos, being one of those. Okay, next, Proclamation. Proclaiming the week of September 7th through the 23rd, 2018 as Pollution Prevention Week. We have Environmental Programs Manager, Shelley Ryder, and our Laboratory and Source Control Supervisor, Kevin Cesar. Welcome. Okay. I'm just going to say yes. Gotcha. Thank you both. This proclamation, the City of Millbrae takes great pride in protecting and maintaining its exceptional landscapes, environment, and natural resources. And the City of Millbrae supports clean, safe water, land, and air for our community. And whereas proper management of waste is key to preserving our environment and strengthening our economy, pollution prevention, P2 as it's referred to, is a cost-effective management tool that can substantially reduce the generation and impact of waste, conserve resources, and protect the environment. And recognizing Pollution Prevention Week and celebrating 28 years of the Pollution Prevention Act of 1990, where Congress declared it to be a national policy of the United States that pollution should be prevented and reduced at the source whenever feasible, where environmental sustainability provides an opportunity for our schools, businesses, citizens, and government to partner to work proactively together towards the prosperous and sustainable future. And whereas increasing awareness and attention to pollution prevention is in the best interests of Millbrae's environment and economy, now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim September 17th through 23rd, 2018. I think that's a short period of time. We're just going to call the rest of the year as National Pollution Prevention Week. In the city of Millbrae, and we call upon all citizens, businesses, operators, and civic organizations to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Give a hoot, don't pollute. I remember that well. Help prevent sanitary sewer overflows by not putting fats, oils, and grease down drains or flushing wipes as they clog pipes. Remember, only rain in the storm drains. That's pretty good. Catchy. Conserve water and support and participate in our Coastal Cleanup Day event on Saturday, September 15th at 9:30 a.m. at Central Park in Millbrae. Thank you so much for all your hard work and efforts. You will soon be seeing our new, what are we calling that? The vacuum?
Oh, this sidewalk sweeper.
Sidewalk sweeper out in the public here, and I will remind those who are not taking this to heart that we do have a littering license or ordinance. So if you choose not to participate, you may have a harsh reality sometime soon. So thank you both, and if you'd like to say something, please do so.
Thank you, Mayor Pappen, and good evening, members of the City Council. This year, the pollution prevention and environmental programs are holding a few activities, and we hope everyone will join us. Tomorrow, September 12th, we're having an education table downtown in Millbrae Square on Broadway. We'll be there from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to provide handouts, talk with everyone, and answer local environmental questions. And then Saturday is our big coastal cleanup day, 9:30 at Central Park on Palm Street, where we'll clean up litter around the city and get it before it goes down the storm drains, creeks, and out to the bay. And we're also airing some environmental videos on MCTV. So we hope everyone will join us and help to beautify Millbrae and enhance our local environment. Thank you.
And we are so lucky to have the most fabulous staff. So thank you, everyone, for your participation and all you do for the city of Millbrae. Our next proclamation proclaiming the month of September as Pain Awareness Month. And we have our ambassador advocate for U.S. Pain Foundation, Michelle Rice. Welcome. You know what? I'm going to let you speak.
Okay.
Because you can probably do this better than I.
Okay.
So please go right ahead.
Well, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council, for allowing me to speak tonight and for the proclamation. My name is Michelle Rice, and I am a U.S. Pain Foundation ambassador, volunteer, and an advocate. I'm going to move this. Can I move this one out of the way? It feels like it's going to fall down. Okay. So I may look healthy to most of you, but I'm actually one of the over 100 million Americans currently living with chronic pain. Pain is invisible. And this fact was the catalyst for the Invisible Project, which includes profiles of individuals with photos of them on their best days and in their darkest moments. Some of our magazines put a spotlight on veterans and children living with pain. And actually, I put 3 separate issues into the blue bags that I handed out. One of them has my story in it from 2015, just to let you know. I was a 4th grade school teacher, and actually in 10 days, it'll be the 18-year anniversary of my slip and fall that led to my chronic pain journey. At first, we thought it was just a simple torn meniscus, but it turned out that it developed into this chronic pain condition called reflex sympathetic dystrophy, which there is no cure for. It's been around since the Civil War, and it's rated as the highest pain condition known to man. I ended up in a wheelchair. I was bedridden. I lived with my parents. I couldn't drive. I couldn't work. I was extremely over-medicated, and I basically had no life and no hope. After years of trial and error of different doctors, medications, therapies, different procedures, I was eventually able to walk again, as you saw. I can drive again, and I believe it was 13 years that I wasn't able to drive. I have an adapted car, so I have a left foot accelerator, so I'm able to drive again, which is great. I live on my own, and I found a new purpose in life, which for me is volunteer work and doing advocacy for the pain community. Today, as we commemorate the 17th anniversary of 9/11, I can't think of a more meaningful day to talk to you regarding the impact of chronic pain on our country. Many of the survivors of 9/11 ended up as part of our pain community just because they went to work that day. Pain awareness is important all year, but particularly during September, which is nationally recognized as Pain Awareness Month. Without awareness, there is no motivation for finding new treatments or research for a cure. People often ask what they can specifically do to support and help the pain community. One way, as a city, is to grant this proclamation tonight, recognizing September as Pain Awareness Month. So I thank you and the council for doing so. As Dr. Phil says, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Another way to be supportive is to read and pass along the information that I provided to you in the U.S. Pain resource bags. I encourage you all to visit uspainawarenessmonth.com to see how you can participate in Pain Awareness Month. You can also see how the country, including the San Francisco Bay Area, is supporting its pain warriors through awareness campaigns such as Light Up the Landmarks, Beautify in Blue, and Proclamations. You can also visit uspainfoundation.org to see what advocacy is going on across the country, or visit invisibleproject.org, whose goal is to show the reality of life with pain and to offer hope and inspiration to the millions like me. Finally, I leave you with 3 specific tips to help someone you may know that is living with chronic pain. 1 is to offer to run errands for that person. 2 is to offer to drive them to appointments. And 3, and most importantly, is to listen to them and to believe them. And in case anyone in this room is wondering if there's any relation by the last name Rice, yes, my dad is Don Rice over there, who taught in Millbrae for almost 40 years at Chadbourne and at Spring Valley. Thank you so much, everybody.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Michelle, thank you for putting a face on all of this, because that does mean a lot to the community, and I think we all have had relatives or friends who endure the same sort of thing. Yes. So thank you for your personal story. We have this proclamation. Thank you for presenting that to us, too. Whereas pain is a major public health problem for children and adults and is the number 1 reason Americans seek medical care. The Institute of Medicine has found that 100 million Americans live with chronic pain as a result of serious illness and injuries. Pain negatively impacts almost every aspect of a person's life, including the ability to work, sleep, and engage in social activities, as well as adversely impacting pain sufferers, families, and caregivers. The U.S. Pain Foundation mission is to educate, connect, inform, empower, and advocate on behalf of over 80,000 members throughout the country and all those who live with chronic pain. The U.S. Pain Foundation provides education on pain management skills, constructive ways to cope with pain, and find fulfillment in life. Increased awareness about the effects of chronic pain result in better outcomes, increased access to good pain care, and empowerment and validation for those living with pain. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do hereby proclaim month of September 2018 as Pain Awareness Month. So if you would, please give Michelle a round of applause for actually bringing all this to our attention and being here.
Thank you.
It's very special. Thank you for being here. And if I could get the council down here, we can get a picture. Sure, certainly.
In 1989, I had a chronic injury at Hewlett-Packard, and it flattened the vertebrae in my neck. So I have a permanent disability ranking, and I live with chronic pain. And I was fortunate that my orthopedic surgeon would let me try things like TENS, even acupuncture, biofeedback, all kinds of he was afraid of medicine. He was afraid of drugs, and I'm very glad for that. But I can tell you what it's like to live in pain all the time. You never see me on a bad day. On a bad day, I'm in the room, it's closed, or I'm in the hospital. So for everybody who deals with pain, even if it's not every day, it's a real thing. And this is really exciting to me. I am so happy to have you here and to talk about this. And I take it we should wear our bracelets. So wear our bracelets there, just like Stephen Colbert with his wrist. So this is lovely. Thank you.
Okay, and if you wouldn't mind coming down here and joining us. And I hope this is a big alert to our medical profession, too, because they need to take a lot of steps to help people in pain. Okay. Mom and Dad. Somebody take the picture. They are best supporters. The caregivers are really important. Oh, here.
Okay.
Okay, get that now. All right, I know we have a tight little area. Okay? Everybody good?
2, 3.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And we have two more proclamations. Proclamation proclaiming the month of September as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Dr. Barry Chaster from Seton Medical Center. He could not be here tonight to accept this proclamation, so we will mail it to him. But let me go through the formals here. This is a proclamation from the city of Millbrae. Whereas prostate cancer is the most frequently diagnosed cancer in men and the second leading cause of cancer deaths in men. And the American Cancer Society establishes there will be 164,690 new cases of prostate cancer in the United States in 2018, resulting in an estimated 29,430 deaths. It is estimated that 15,190 men in California will be diagnosed with prostate cancer this year. And it is estimated that 3,490 California men will die from this disease. Black men in the United States and Caribbean have the highest documented prostate cancer incident rates in the world. Early prostate cancer usually has no symptoms, and studies suggest strong familial predisposition may be responsible for 5 to 10% of the disease cases. Advanced prostate cancer commonly spreads to the bones, which can cause pain in the hips, spine, ribs, and other areas in the body. The 5-year survival rate approaches 100% when prostate cancer is diagnosed and treated early, but drops to 30% when it spreads to other parts of the body. The American Cancer Society recommends that men should have an opportunity to make an informed decision about whether to be tested for prostate cancer based on their personal values and preferences. The City of Millbrae joins communities across our nation to increase the awareness about the importance for men to make an informed decision with their healthcare provider about early detection and testing for prostate cancer. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Millbrae City Council, do proclaim the month of September 2018 as Prostate Awareness Month. I have to say, we women get tested yearly for a whole bunch of stuff. You guys need to wake up. Go to the doctor. This is really, you owe it to your families and yourselves to get regular checkups and be tested. So let's not mess around in this little subtlety way. Get out there and go to the doctor. Personal dialogue there. Sorry about that. Oh, Mr. Lee.
Can I have Eunice Denali come up, please? Unfortunate, Eunice wasn't at the last recognition of commission, but we're glad that you're here today. So Eunice has served on the Sister City Commission for 10 years, and she's actually been very active in the city, so I see her all the time, and I just 10 years seems to go pretty quick. I think you started, when you were 20? Right, 20? Right. Anyway, we're just very glad that you are part of, you served the community and that you love the community enough to serve 10 years. So it's with my pleasure on behalf of the City Council to present you with this pin with the blue stone engraved. It's a really lovely pin.
Thank you. Yay. Yeah, let's go. Eunice, come on. Photo ops. Thank you.
1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
I'm getting my exercise tonight.
Okay. Moving on to agenda overview and staff briefing.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pappen, members of the City Council, Tom Williams, Interim City Manager. So a week from this Friday, which is the third Friday of the month, is Millbrae Goes to the Movie Night. And that is Friday, September 21st. It's the City of Millbrae, Millbrae Lions Club, and MCTV host our Millbrae Goes to the Movies at Central Park. There will be food trucks, games, activities for kids of all ages. The movie on Friday will be presented by, or is, Wrinkle in Time. And the movie will start at sundown. And this has been a great event all summer. Really nice community event for family, and it's been really nice. So everybody join us a week from this Friday on the 21st. Also, staff in association with the San Mateo County, other cities throughout the Bay Area conducted a very important exercise known as the Yellow Command Emergency Response Exercise last Thursday. All departments participated. It was a day-long event. CERT volunteers also were part of the exercise. The scenario was a major earthquake that had struck in Millbrae and throughout the Bay Area, and we had to deploy and open our emergency operations center and go through the process which we would do, lines of communication, allocation of responsibilities for such an event. So it was well worth it. Again, working with the Sheriff's Department, Central Fire, so it was really a good exercise and training for all of our staff. Also, coming up on Saturday, September 15th from 9 a.m. to noon is our Coastal Cleanup Day, and that will be in Central Park. We're asking the community members and volunteers to help make our community and beaches and the Bay Area cleaner by picking up trash along our parkways, streams, and creeks into the coast. Volunteers, people can RSVP by calling 650-259-2397 or by email at cly@ci.millbrae.ca.us, and you can check also on the city's website for information. Also, we've had some complaints about dimming lights up in the Upper Hillcrest area. So I wanted to report real quick that our public works staff has been coordinating with PG&E. PG&E has been investigating, and they found some low voltage situations up in the Upper Hillcrest area. So PG&E is working to repair the underground wiring that's producing the low voltage, causing the significant dim lighting up in the area. So in the next 2 or 3 weeks, that should be taken care of. Also, Millbrae Youth Entertainment Program takes place every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's provided for all school-age kids, and it's a great place for them to hang out and play board games, ping pong, PS4, Xbox One that was donated by the Lions Club a few months ago. And it's obviously in a safe environment here at our temporary recreation center. The program is free, and so kids come on out and have fun Tuesday and Thursday from 3 to 5. And with that, Mayor, that provides the staff report this evening. Moving on to the agenda overview. Item number 3 is approval of the meeting minutes. That's regular meeting minutes for April 10th and April 24th. Item number 4 is an oral report from Planning Commissioner Maureen Davis. After that oral report is public communication. And then we move to our consent calendar. We have 8 items on the consent calendar this evening, starting with item number 5. That's the quarterly investment schedule for the 4th quarter ending fiscal year 2017-18. Item number 6 is approval of the parking lot closure and fee waiver for the annual Japanese Cultural Festival in the library parking lot. That event will happen on October 7th of next month. Item number 7 is approval of a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an amendment for an extension of time to a contract with CSG Consultants for community development and engineering services. Item number 8 is a resolution delegating authority to the Bay Area Water Supply and Conservation Agency, known as BOSQA, to negotiate an amendment to the water supply agreement with the city and the county of San Francisco. Item number 9 is a resolution accepting the upper lateral pilot program, accepting that as a completed project, and authorizing the filing of a notice of completion and updating the sewer lateral rebate program. Item number 10 is a resolution ratifying a contract with Granite Rock Construction for emergency repair services for a concrete, the Cowan Canal is actually the project, and transferring from capital funds from the Millbrae Avenue Storm Culvert Capital Project to the emergency repair for the Cowan Canal. That was a great project. We were able to piggyback on another project and save quite a bit of money. Item number 11, provide guidance and recommendations for the resolution being considered at the 2018 League of California Cities Conference. It starts tomorrow. Item 12, approval of a fee waiver totaling $690 in rental fees for the Great Room for the American Cancer Society Relay for Life, which will be held on September 22nd. There are no public hearings this evening. There is no existing business. New business, we have 4 items. One is a resolution opposing Proposition 6, which would repeal Senate Bill 1. It's a Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017. Item number 14 is adoption of the fiscal year 2018 Youth Advisory Committee Work Plan. Item 15 is adoption of the fiscal year 2018-19 Cultural Arts Advisory Committee Work Plan. And the last item on the agenda this evening, item 16, is adoption of the fiscal year 2018-19 Parks and Recreation Commission Work Plan. So with that, Mayor, that's a summary of tonight's agenda.
Any questions from council? Okay, I guess we'll get into the details of the consent calendar later. So moving on to
The report out?
report out. That was it, exactly.
Good. Okay, thank you. Good to see you all. I'm here to report on the 2 closed sessions that the council needed to hold during August, which has traditionally been your recess. On August 14th, there was a closed session called to discuss real property negotiations involving city-owned property. No action was taken. And on August 23rd, there was a closed session called to discuss one potential case of anticipated litigation, and again, no action was taken. There is nothing to report on the record. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Ms. Gassman. Okay, we have approval of the minutes. Do we want to take them together or separately? Together. Okay. Mr. Holliber, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I submitted a couple of minor corrections, notations earlier in the day. I've been asked to read them. For the April 10th meeting, I suggested noting that the meeting was held at the Taylor Middle School Auditorium, since that is not our typical location. And then for the April 24th meeting, one minor correction on page 4 under the ex parte communications to say that I met with Vince Musi as well as Don Cecil. And then on page 5, point number 8, just clarifying that the retail space in the development was approximately 35,000 square feet.
Any objections? Is that okay? Okay, we have a motion. I guess this is for both, Vice Mayor Lee? For both, and a second by Councilmember Schneider. Your votes, please.
Meeting minutes for April 10th and April 24th, 2018 passed unanimously with corrections.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Oral report from City Committee Commissioner Chairs. Update from the Planning Commission. Maureen Davis, nice to see you.
Good evening. I'm here representing the Planning Commission. I'm going to give you an overview of the work we've done in the last year. We have a PowerPoint. I'm not going to read every word because everybody here can probably just see it. That'd be great. So we have 2 things that are part of our existence, basically, as an advisory board to the City Council, and the other is to work on anything that relates to the municipal code. And then the remaining 4 tasks here are related to your goals, specifically the Millbrae. Oh, sorry. Specifically, the Millbrae Station area specific plan to implement the downtown economic development plan, to rebuild the community center, and the general plan and planned development area. When it comes to task one, we serve as an advisory body to you, and we serve the public as well. We meet twice a month, and we work on projects that affect people's lives. Most of them are house remodels and updates, so we're helping our people all the time, and then obviously the bigger projects that come through as well. This year, 24 projects were approved through us. When it comes to the municipal code, we don't do a lot of this necessarily, but when we do, it's pretty important. This year, the Planning Commission contributed to the effort on the short-term, on the short-term residential rental ordinance. So that was a huge thing that happened this year. Task 3, the Millbrae Station Area Specific Plan. Obviously, significant progress was made in this area in that the 2 TOD projects were approved through the Planning Commission and the Council. The Planning Commission played a key role through reviewing an approval process, vetting the projects in study sessions, public hearings, and one-on-one meetings with the staff. And one big accomplishment in that was we recommended the approval of preserving the right-of-way along the South Station Road to enable future two-way travel should we decide to do that. Task 4 is the Downtown Economic Development Plan. This is still a work in progress. It is, we're likely to see more of it with the general plan update in the coming fiscal year, but we're ready to go whenever it's ready to go. Oh, did I move it forward? Task 5 is rebuilding the community center. One of our roles is to have a representative on the Community Advisory Board. I happen to be that person, so we've had representation there and guiding the process along with that as well. And obviously we're making some progress. It's very exciting. And lastly, task 6 is the general plan and plan development area. There was a joint session between Planning Commission and Council a couple of months ago maybe where we gave initial guidance on that plan for the downtown. The name is changing now, the El Camino Real downtown specific area, specific plan. And of course we expect to see more of that with the general plan update in the next fiscal year. And in conclusion, I just want to end with a huge thank you to the community development staff for all the support that they give us and to our residents. So, with that.
Ms. Davis, can you tell us who's on the Planning Commission?
Sure. We have long-term member Kathy Quigg. Jean Joe has been on for several years now as well. Anders Fung was appointed year or two ago. Time flies, it's hard to remember. And a new member, Alan Wong.
All right. Any questions from the council? Yes, Ms. Oliva?
I was just curious, the 24 projects, is that a lot comparably to the last year?
Didn't get any trended data. I didn't. Sorry, don't know.
You know me and my data.
Vice Mayor Lee?
Yes, I just want to convey my gratitude to you and the other commissioners. Being on the Planning Commission myself, I realized how much work you have to do. And 2 major projects, which this room was packed many times, lots of pressure from different groups and different political organizations. So I just want to thank you for your service. You get, I'd give you a raise right now if I could.
More snacks in the drawers?
Yeah,
what's it going to be?
More snacks in the drawers.
Thank you. I'll pass that along.
Okay, again, the Planning Commission is not a paid position. And the individuals who help the city through this process, it's not always thankful, but we do thank you very, very much for all your hard work and effort. And at this time, is there anything we, the council, can do to ease the burden, or are we missing something? Is there a code we should know about?
I don't think I should just throw things at random at you, but I'll consult with the others and see if we have anything to share with you soon. How about that?
Go for it, Maureen. Come on.
Ms. Schneider?
I think we have a training budget, but do we send our planning commissioners to periodic training? Do they get training in sort of the new technologies, green building, green infrastructure, things like that?
Excellent question.
I know we've offered training in the past, and we intend to continue that in the future. But as far as whether it's for green building infrastructure, that I'm not positive, so I have to get back to you on that, Ann. But we have offered that in the past.
Great. It would be nice. I'd love to see our planning commissioners get all the training that they feel they need.
Okay. I think the entire council would agree with that. So if we need to budget for that, let us know, because in the long run, it's very helpful. And I think some of us council members could benefit if that training is occurring as well. So, Ms. Davis, thank you so very much for being here tonight and all of your hard work and effort for the entire Planning Commission. Thank you. And we'll keep the snacks in the drawer. Okay, good. There you go. Okay. Public communication, we have one. Anyone else? Yo-Yo, I'm sorry, I can't read your writing here on the subject. But yeah. Does it look like smoking? Is that it? Okay, look, that looks like a D. Come on.
All right, I'll work on it.
Okay, thank you.
Back to handwriting school. Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm here to just speak about smoking in light of our proclamation. Proclaiming the week of September 17th to 23rd as Pollution Prevention Week. I recently read an article saying that actually the largest source of contamination in our oceans is actually cigarette butts. And I think that our city staff has said in their speech when accepting the proclamation that we need to work to improve the image, the cleanliness, and to enhance the local environment of Millbrae. And in my opinion, there's no better way and no quicker way to do that than to ban smoking downtown, than to really start enforcing our codes that prevent littering, that prohibit littering, especially targeted at those who smoke. I expressed this to the Community Enhancement Committee, which is a very great committee that I had the opportunity to sit in on one of their meetings. And I also let City Manager Williams know that the city should take immediate action to remove the smoking stations located in front of our eating places, especially one that I'm very familiar with down the block from my restaurant located at the corner of La Cruz and Broadway. State law, maybe it's state law, maybe it's county law, prohibits smoking within 25 feet of any restaurant entrance. And we have placed this smoking station within 10 feet of the entrance. And it not only is it sending this message that it's okay to smoke here, it's very much causing a nuisance to the local diners, to business owners, and just generally to people trying to patronize our downtown businesses. I think that with our street sweeper, we're making an excellent step towards cleaning up our downtown. We can start realizing true potential of the downtown. However, there's a lot of work to be done, and we can't have our great city staff always be cleaning up after people who really should be cleaning up after themselves. I think it should be a priority of the City Council in the next fiscal year to set one of their goals to be public health. I think public health is very much tied into our quality of life. I know quality of life is always a big concern, and not being able to walk downtown, not being able to take your kids out for fear of them breathing in the smoke, not being able to enjoy a meal by a window very peacefully without disruption. I think those are all integral elements of a high quality of life and a great city environment, especially in the downtown area. I know that other cities like Foster City have recently adopted ordinances prohibiting smoking in public places. Other cities have adopted ordinances to prohibit smoking in apartment buildings where, when you smoke, your secondhand smoke starts spreading to other people. And I'd like to see the city consider banning smoking in public. And I know that it's very great that we've budgeted for code enforcement officers. So I know that, these laws can start being enforced. And if we so choose to protect the public health by enacting such an ordinance, I think it'd be very much welcomed by not only the public, but our downtown business owners. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. And we will note that we are working closely with the Sheriff's Department as far as municipal code enforcement throughout the downtown as well. We hope that that will be of assistance further. Okay, no further public comments. We have a large consent calendar, so I'm sure there's going to be some discussion. Vice Mayor Lee.
I'd like to pull number 6 to allow the organizers to speak about the event.
I do see the organizers are here. Okay. Ms. Schneider?
I have just a couple of questions about 8 and 9, so I guess have to pull those. I have no problems with them, but questions.
Okay, and I have a quick question on 5. So,
Sorry.
a consent these are quick questions. So let's, that leaves us with items 7, 10, and, 11 and 12. Well, who's interrupting me?
Don't forget 5.
I said 5. I've got a question about 5.
Oh, you do? Sorry.
7, 10, 11.
7, 10, 11, and 12.
Sorry.
Yes.
I have a quick question about number 11, just for clarification.
Okay, all right. So, to be clear, the consent calendar is reduced to 7 and 10 and 12. Okay? We have a motion from Vice Mayor Lee, a second from Councilmember Holliber. Your votes, please.
Consent items 7, 10, 12 are approved by the vote of 5-0. Thank you.
Okay. Just on item, we'll take them in order. I had the question on item 5. Ms. Hildebrandt, thank you. I'm sorry, this is going to be kind of general. You don't need to go into a lot of detail, but it just seems so tragic, the amount of return we get on investment. I understand it has to be secure. It's just that, pardon me?
Liquid also, right?
And liquid, I get all that. But I do understand our city to the south as well. Burlingame has recently evaluated their investment on return. So I guess the only question, without going into detail here, is if you could please just touch base with Burlingame to see what they're doing as far as their investment return. I'd appreciate it.
I will do that. Also, a member of my staff has expressed an interest in additional training, which will assist us in taking some more active role. So we will be working on that.
Thank you so much for all your hard work and effort. Appreciate it. That was item 5. Okay, I will move to, can you clear the board? Oopsie. Okay, item 5, we have a motion. Councilmember Oliva, and the mayor second. Your votes on item 5?
The council approved the quarterly investment schedule for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2017 to 2018 by the vote of 5-0.
Item 6, approval of parking lot closure and waiver fee for the annual Japanese Cultural Festival in the library parking lot on October 7th, 2018. We do have some representatives here. Would you like to enlighten the public as to our wonderful event? Nice to see you all.
Good evening, Mayor Papen and council members, and thank you for inviting us up here to talk about our 13th annual Japanese Culture Festival here in Millbrae. I'm Kathleen Kimura, and I have with me 2 members of our volunteer committee, Masami Saisu and Naomi Yamaguchi. October 7th, out in the library parking lot. It works very well out there, I think better than actually in the original spot that we used to use. But I'd first of all like to thank the City Council very much for its continued support, and also that of all of the staff in the city. Every department is somewhat affected by what we do, so we really appreciate all the support that we get from everyone. Now, this year is going to be extremely busy because in addition to all of the usual activities that go on with the festival, activities for all, for children, for adults, stage presentations, food, interesting vendors, exhibits, and demonstrations, we have the mayor of Hanyu, our sister city in Japan, coming with 2 members of his staff. And they will be arriving on the 5th of October and will be coming and spending all day at the festival and bringing all sorts of information that they will be sharing about our sister city in Hanyu. In addition to that, we're going to be having a formal welcome dinner for him, a community welcome dinner at the Magnolia of Millbrae. At the same time, we will also be celebrating the 70th anniversary of Millbrae. We don't want the year to go by without recognizing that Millbrae is actually 70 years old. So we're hoping that many members of the community will come to that dinner to welcome the mayor and his delegation. I think the Westin Hotel need to be credited and thanked, because the manager of that hotel has very kindly and generously offered to comp the stay for 3 nights for 3 people. So I was absolutely floored when I found out, but I just want to acknowledge that and appreciate the generosity of the hotel. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Look forward to seeing as many of you there as possible. I know lots of things happen that weekend. It's Columbus Day weekend, or whatever they want to call that weekend now. And I know, we're competing with the Blue Angels, but this happens every so often. We just happen to have our festival on the first Sunday of each month, and it just so happens that this is the second. It also falls on the second Monday this year, so the second Monday follows us, which means it's Columbus Day or whatever day it is. So, but thank you for the time, and thank you for all your support. And we look forward to seeing as many people out there as possible. It's a fun event. We get support from so many people, including the Consulate General of Japan in San Francisco. They've been supporting us from the get-go. We have students from Mills High School. We're hoping to be able to have the Taylor Middle School jazz band on the stage this year, if it works, if they're able to do that. So we're hoping that will happen, because Mayor Kawata would be very pleased. He will be visiting Taylor Middle School on Friday, the day he arrives, and he will be having lunch with the students there. And also it will be an opportunity for him to reacquaint with some of the students that went to Hanyu last year. So I think that will be a very good day for him. So if you haven't got any questions, I thank you.
7th?
10:30 to 4:30.
10:30 to 4:30.
Yes, and we welcome the community to help us. We thank the Leos, we thank the Red Cross Yes team, Mills High School, yes, the Japanese club, but also the Interact Club. Also, I think, are going to be providing some volunteers for us. So we really do appreciate it. It's a community effort, and we look forward to seeing everyone there.
My
Thank
compliments for you getting the Blue Angels out for your event. What, no taxpayer funds will be used for that, but very impressive.
Maybe we'll see them flying out of San Francisco Airport. I don't know.
We might be able to talk to them to do a little detour.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Holliver.
Well, thank you once again. It's always an amazing event each year. I did have a question. I remember the Sister Cities Commission was interested in perhaps formalizing the Friendship City agreement into a full sister city agreement.
Right, and I do believe, and we found documentation to the effect that the City Council has approved that happening, but we're sort of waiting for the official approval of the City Council in Hanyu. And it's a large City Council. They work a little slower than we do. And so we're hoping, we're encouraging them to commit to be a completely fully fledged sister city, but they are committed to continued friendship with us on an ongoing basis. I think Mayor Kawata is very happy and looking forward to coming to Millbrae again. Millbrae has become quite famous in Hanyu. So,
how big is that city council?
Pardon me?
How big is it?
Well, it's bigger than ours. I can't tell you how many there are on the council either, but he has to get elected every so many years. Yes. It's not a rotational thing like we have.
He was just reelected.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Yeah.
Okay. Other questions?
So thank you so. Yes.
Oh, sorry, Ms.
Annie.
I was just going to say, with regard to their city, I mean, the city council is almost like walking to San Francisco City. The city
Board of
hall.
Supervisors.
Yeah, it's quite large and extravagant.
Yes. Councilmember Oliva visited.
I did. I'm looking forward to seeing Mayor Kawata.
Thank you. Well, thank you all very much, and I won't take any more of your time. You've got a busy agenda. Thank you very much.
We have a motion and a second. Your votes, please.
The council approved the parking lot closure and the fee waiver for the annual Japanese Cultural Festival in the library parking lot on October 7th, 2018 by the vote of 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, I'm confused myself now. What's the next item? 8. 8. And Ms. Schneider, did you have a question?
I do. This is so interim city manager Williams to get used to all of our various quirks. There's been a lot of discussion about water, and that's why I pulled this off on the agenda. There's been a lot of discussion on next door. There have for years been concerns for residents on water rate increases. And I am hoping one of the outcomes, I have no problems with the staff recommendation, but that we have a report or we have a meeting to get back with our residents and have an easier conversation about water. I know that my house is just as guilty. The lawn is brown. I'm trying to kill it. I'm trying to kill oxalis, which is so hard to kill. So I have not been watering it, but the trees suffer because I have 2 or 3 sycamore trees, city sycamore trees. And I think we need a collective discussion about the cost of water and what it's doing in terms of browning the city. And I think this is a great opportunity to look at this. But the way we currently structure our representation, we don't have a lot of discussions about water, only when the water rates go up. And then all that does is bring up anger because we haven't brought people along with us. So I'm pulling this off tonight to ask for a request that and Mr. Lim, you possibly can tell us when this item is going to come back, but that's going to be a water rate increase. But when can we come back and talk about water? When can we talk about recycled water? What can we talk about getting more rebates for putting in more water conservation efforts? Because generally I think the people, and I feel it too, every time we conserve it ends up costing us more. And it seems so counterintuitive, but it's true. Mm-hmm. So how can we help everybody understand that, and what else can we do so that we don't look as brown and shabby as we look? And I'm guilty. So my household is guilty.
I will work with interim city manager Tom Williams about that. We might bring back an educational item for the council to keep you updated on that, and maybe doing a periodic updates on water rates and basket issues as well.
Yes.
And we'll work that into our work plan with the council.
And we've talked about it. I don't know if it made it upwards into our city goals. We talked about trying to get the lawn replacement program so people can shift the lawn be gone, but we don't participate in the Bosqua project. And yet I went to the city's website on recycled conservation efforts, and there's a huge menu out there. And some rebates, I know I've got to replace a toilet. I'd really like the toilet rebate program to come back. So if we can look at some of the rebates to help the residents out there.
Definitely. I will work with Shelley Ryder on that, and then we'll work it to the city manager and get back to the council.
Excellent.
On
Thank
the programs.
Thank you. Ms. Oliva?
Well, I agree with everything Councilmember Schneider said. That's not really what we're voting on here, though, is to adopt a resolution delegating authority to Bosqua to negotiate amendment to the water supply agreement.
Right.
That is correct.
Correct. Okay. It is, as of right now, it is a confidential negotiation with SFPUC.
Right.
And any action will not be taken by Bosqua on behalf of Millbrae. We will be coming back to you about any amendments to the water supply agreement. I don't have a timeline, but I believe it will be sometime early next year, if I am correct, Ms. Cashman. Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, and for those who don't understand what Bosqua is...
Would you like me to explain?
Yes, why don't you do that?
It is the Bay Area Water Conservation and Supply Agency. It was a succession agency from Bay Area Water Supply Water User Group.
Bay Area Water Users Association, and then there was state legislation, which our mayor's father was helpful in getting enacted at the state level, that created basically a special district made up of 28, I believe, water retailers. These are public agencies that provide the water directly to their constituents. City of Millbrae is one. There are a number of other cities, and there are special districts, all of whom are members of Bosqua. And Bosqua agencies all get their water from the San Francisco Hetch Hetchy system. And this was a way in which all of the customers of San Francisco could band together and work together to get the best terms and conditions possible in receiving our water from the city and county.
And also to ensure the safety of our water system. So years back, we all paid San Francisco PUC and didn't see any infrastructure improvements. So for the years that this legislation has been enacted, it gives the Bay Area users a voice at the table. And I have to say, the relationship between BASCWA and the San Francisco PUC has really grown to the benefit of all the parties. And thankfully, that legislation also means that the San Francisco PUC has to report to the state legislature every year as to the safety of our water system, which has come a long way. Part of the costs that Councilmember Schneider and the raising rates and everything has been to improve the infrastructure. And as was noted earlier, that's the system infrastructure, and Millbrae is 70 years old. So our pipes, which were designated to last 50 years, are now 70 years old. So thus the increase in rates from this side. But yes, we could all use the education as to why the rates keep going up no matter what we do to conserve. So thank you very much. We have a motion by Ms. Oliva, second by Ms. Holliber, and we look forward to further education. Your votes, please.
Mr. Holliber.
Mr. Holliber, excuse me. Well, hey, I had a Mrs. was here before.
The council unanimously approved a resolution delegating authority to the Bay Area Water Supply and Conservation Agency to negotiate an amendment to the water supply agreement with the City and County of San Francisco.
Okay, and thank you to Dan Quigg for being our representative on BASCWA. Item 9, is that correct? Okay. And was that you too, Ms. Schneider?
I think this is another one that to the public, they may not remember what the pilot project was attempting to do. My question actually is, there's a relationship to the outcome of this project to the Baykeeper consent decree. So given that staff is recommending not going forward with this project, how will that affect the Baykeeper decree? But you might want to explain to the people on TV what this actually means.
Definitely. We started out the pilot program last year. Council awarded a contract to a contractor. We started out with 20 properties that we selected with various scenarios. Some of them are connected to the main line in the back of the house. Some of them are connected to the pipeline in the street. So throughout it took us quite a while to get the project started because of right of entry, a lot of the legal requirement. That took a good 4 to 6 months. And since then, 3 property owners had dropped out from the program. So instead of 20 properties, we only had 17 in our pilot program. And one thing that we came to learn on this project was that the cost for the city to implement a pilot program or upper lateral program is very expensive because of public contract code that we have to follow. And then secondly, there are legal requirements for right of entry, and a lot of property owners are very suspicious. When we contact them, we say, we're going to come into your property, please sign the right of entry agreement, at no cost to you, blah, 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 and took them many, many months to decide whether they want us to even enter their property. So instead of that, Councilwoman Schneider, we are not discontinuing the upper lateral program. We are continuing with that. Instead of going onto private property to replace upper lateral, we are going to recommend to council that we double the rebate amount. The rebate program was started in 2011, and the construction cost has escalated quite a lot since then. So we recommend that we double the rebate amount from $1,000 to $2,000.
And the reason we're doing this is to prevent water from leaking into sewer pipes and overflowing the sewage treatment plant, correct?
That is correct. There is some industry's document technical report that we had consulted. It looks like a lot of the upper lateral, the privately owned part behind the sidewalk into the property, some of them had some illegal cross connection from the roof leader and the stormwater, and that introduced a lot of inflow and infiltration. Inflows are directly water that is other than sewage that enter the sewer collection system. Infiltrations are coming to the pipe buried in the ground to crack and separated joint to groundwater intrusion. So our treatment plant has experienced any time. Our typical flow is about, permit flow is 3 million gallons a day. We experience about 1.5 million gallons during the dry weather months. But during raining season, we have experienced flow as high as 17 million. So you could see the amounts of inflow and infiltration entering the system. However, we did a couple rounds of flow monitoring based on the 300 plus lateral that we had replaced in the last 7 years or so. We were able to reduce the I&I inflow infiltration by about 110,000 gallons a day. So it has been a very successful program. It takes a little while. It's an ongoing program.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Schneider. Second by Ms. Oliva. Your votes, please.
The council unanimously approved a resolution accepting a upper lateral pilot program as complete, authorizing the filing of a notice of completion and updating the sewer lateral rebate program by. Thank you.
Did we have one more?
Yes, number
11.
11.
Number 11.
Item 11.
Yeah, I took another look at the staff report here, and I am withdrawing my comments.
Oh.
Would you like to make a motion? Well, I think we do need to clarify, though, that Vice Mayor Lee is the only one attending, so you have no alternate. So good luck in covering everything, okay?
Are we voting?
Yes, your votes, please. Sorry.
The council unanimously provided guidance and recommendation for the resolution being considered at the 2018 League of Cities, California Cities Annual Conference. Thank you.
Great. No public hearings, existing business, none, new business. Item 13, resolution opposing Proposition 6, which would repeal Senate Bill 1, Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017. A very important action item.
Yes, it is a very important action item. I left a SB1 Prop 6 fact sheet on the dais. So I'm going to go over that really quickly. So Senate Bill 1 was signed into law in April of 2017, and the city received last fiscal year, we received close to $200,000 in funding. And those funding came from slight increase in gas tax, diesel tax, and also vehicle registration. And now there is a proposition in November, whereas SB 1 will be repealed if successful. So typically, from now on, we are receiving about $400,000, $387,000 additional, in addition to gas tax funding for street paving projects. So that is a big impact to Millbrae. In the event that Prop 6 is approved by voters in November. And then there are a concerted effort in San Mateo County, majority of the cities either in the process of adopting a resolution opposing Prop 6, or they have already adopted a resolution. Cities like San Carlos, Brisbane, Belmont, East Palo Alto, Pacifica, and San Mateo County, they have all adopted resolution. And the rest of the cities, they're going to either do it later this month or sometime soon. So we encourage the city council to take a position on Prop 6, because it will severely impact Millbrae's ability to maintain our streets.
So, to be clear, if Proposition 6 passes, Millbrae will lose like $400,000 a year.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, Ms. Schneider.
When I attended a League of California Cities luncheon a couple of months ago, they asked each of us to go back to our cities and say, what specific projects can we name them? So I know we spent some of that money in the last fiscal year, and now we've got projects set up for this fiscal year. And I know I sent you both the request from Springfield on that. And I'm assuming that Springfield is one of those streets getting repaired using these funds?
Correct. Springfield is in the next paving project. It is currently in 65% design, with anticipation to go to construction in either spring or summer of 2019.
Good, because they wrote to me today and asked when that was going to be. So can you, Mr. Lim, tell the community which streets or intersections are benefiting from SB 1?
For the most part, they are residential street, local streets. And as part of SB 1, we are required to submit a annual report. I believe we came to council earlier this year. I don't remember the month. I think it might have been May or June. And we had a long list of streets that was supposedly included under SB 1 funding. And the next annual report is coming due in October, which we are working on. And for example, we are currently paving Old Bayshore. And that street was funded to the SB 1 from last fiscal year.
And that one was supposed to be for larger roads, right?
No, SB1 is less restricted funding. They can be used for local residential streets, whereas federal funding do not allow you to use funding for local street. They can only be used for collector and arterial street, because streets are classed typically into 3 functional class. The lowest class being residential street, followed by collector and arterial. Arterial would be streets like Interstate, El Camino, Millbrae Avenue. And collector street would be streets like Helen, Magnolia, some of the more major streets.
So what I would like, if the public were to ask me about this bill, is specific lists of which streets happened last year, current fiscal year, and maybe projected into the future, should we keep SB1 in place and that Prop 6 fails. Let me do the talking points, because that's what the League of California Cities has asked elected officials to do, is to go out and help the public understand that this is fixing potholes. This is fixing your streets.
It is beyond fixing pothole. Actually, on the fact sheet, it lists the type of funding San Mateo County is receiving, and some of the money going to be allocated for transportation type of project, transit project. For example, $21.5 million is allocated for fixing pothole. $4.5 million would be allocated to a bicycle pedestrian type of project, Safe Route to School. And $14.5 million is earmarked for bridges.
And it's on the other side.
Yeah, it's on the
It's on there. I'm doing that so that the public can hear this, because I understand that. I'm doing this so the public can hear it.
And I want to suggest, if we vote on this as suggested, that we post this on the website with further details, so that the public will be able to see transparency and how Millbrae has benefited, as well as the county.
By the way, the fact sheet is prepared by CCAC, so the information is accurate. We work together to come up with the fact sheet. So please feel free to share that around, and we will post it on the city website.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And to continue, Millbrae or San Mateo County, $14.5 million towards making bridges safety, repair traffic devices, state highways. $164 million to upgrade and improve Caltrain service. $250 million contribution to address congestion on 101, and $1.83 million climate change adaptation planning and protect transportation network. So huge amounts of money, but if Proposition 6 passes, we will lose. So the agenda item is to oppose Proposition 6. Ms. Schneider has made the motion, but Ms. Oliva has a question.
When you say oppose, is that a no vote?
That is a no vote. And can we be clear, if we're going to post this on the website, that it says no on 6?
We will.
Okay.
And we will make it clear. In the event that Proposition 6 is approved, California will lose about $5 billion in additional funding for roadway repair annually for the next 10 years. So it's a big, big hit.
And for the public's information, so when you say Senate Bill 1, people say that's the gas tax, right?
That is a gas tax. There was a slight increase in gas and diesel tax last April, and also vehicle registration.
Okay, so yeah, when you hear it out there, people are going to say the gas tax. So again, if we could post as suggested. We have a vote from Ms. Schneider.
Madam Mayor.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Holliber.
And if you could also post the streets that, both between this bill and just in general our upcoming road paving projects that are coming up, I think that would be useful to the public as well, because people want to know.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Schneider?
I would only add to that the tentative timelines. I think everybody understands if we have a wet winter, which the Farmer's Almanac is predicting, maybe we can be so lucky, that might delay some of the work. But as I said, if it's going to be late spring, early summer for Springfield, great. Let's just get it on the website.
We will do.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Holliber, your votes, please.
The council unanimously passed the resolution opposing Proposition 6, which would repeal Senate Bill 1, Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Item 14, adoption of the fiscal year 2018-2019 Youth Advisory Committee Work Plan. Hello.
Hello, I'm Adeline Hain. I'm the chairperson for this year's Youth Advisory Committee. I was also last year's, and I'd like to start off by posting a list of our members this year. So we have a mix of middle school and high school students, so 2 of which are from, I think it's Taylor, and then 3 are from Mills High School, 4 including our alternate. So this is our 2017-2018 review. We only had 3 members last year, and some things we did were volunteering at the coastal cleanup, and we helped and created the teen nights that were hosted last spring over in the temporary rec center. We also participate in the rec center rebuilding committee. You guys may recognize me from there. Yes. Yeah. And so you may notice that this list is very brief. That's because our quorum is, the minimum is 3, and we only had 3 members, so it was a little rough getting all of us together. But hopefully that will change this year, since we actually have 5 and another alternate as well. So our work plan goals are as follows. So we are supposed to provide an advisory body to the City Council, which we try doing by showing representation at the Rec Center Rebuilding Committee, for example. And our second one is programs and fees to the Parks and Recs Department. So we do that by volunteering at events and just doing whatever we can to provide any input on what the youth think. And obviously we have our Rec Center Rebuild representation as well, which I've been going to every month. And we have our youth and teen programming events. So we're hoping to create another teen night event or something among those lines again, similar to last spring. And our last task is to have an intergenerational meeting. We had tried to do that last year again, but again, we had an issue with the quorum and we were unable to meet, but hopefully we can get that rolling this year. And that's it.
Yes, Ms. Schneider.
I don't want to steal the thunder of the Cultural Arts Committee, who are waiting in the audience, but they are working on 2 different projects. One's a utility box project that's we want to reach out to the high schools and the middle schools, including St. Dunstan's. And the other project is bringing back the Millbrae art show, which hasn't happened since 2011. And I don't know why we didn't talk about possibly having cultural arts work with your committee in terms of working with students in there. So I'm not stealing your thunder out there. I'm just throwing that out as an idea. The art show is in November, and the utility box project, they're going to be talking about when it's their turn at the podium. But you did a great job, and it could be a really fun project to work with cultural arts.
Okay, I'll raise that to our committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and we appreciate you participating in the recreation restoration project. I think in the past it's been geared for middle school kids, and we definitely want to see somehow we can include the more older or elder students from high schools. Mature. So we would appreciate your input on that as well. And also, if you have any ideas about other projects that you like to do to include and spotlight other talents, and there are many students I know have many talents. That I think the city would like to support that, and so in the other ways too, don't be afraid to ask for money to support your project, because we be happy to look into it and provide. If it's a worthwhile project, we'd be happy to fund it.
Okay, thank you very much.
I want to thank you for your leadership in this group and your participation, your active participation in the restoration of the community center. It's been very helpful. So thank you so much for all that you've been doing. And your plan looks great. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have to accept the plan. Yes, we do. We have a motion, Ms. Schneider, second by Ms. Oliva. Your votes, please.
The council unanimously adopted the fiscal year 2018-2019 Youth Advisory Committee Work Plan.
Thank you. Item 15, Adoption of the Fiscal Plan 2018-2019 Cultural Arts Advisory Committee. You're not last. We got another one. We got another one after you.
But I'm pretty sure they appreciate it, though.
Nice try.
Oh, can't see you with my glasses on. Can you hear me?
Got to get close.
My name is Pamela Foss. I'm a newly nominated chair of the committee last night.
Congratulations on your promotion.
And this is Debbie Van Wart. She is
the vice chair.
Yes. So I would like to start with just telling you who's on the committee. Debbie Van Wart, Baron Swen, I'm not sure I'm saying that, myself, Barbara Whiteley, and we have a vacancy. So we are little in number. Oh, sorry.
There you go. I'll help you.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. I had a long time to get nervous.
Just breathe, you're good.
So, in reviewing what we've done this year, which is how long I've been on the committee, we have compiled a list of existing public art in Millbrae so that if there is questions about where some more is needed or somebody wants to make a tour, we have a resource. We have created a map of all the utility boxes in Millbrae in preparation for our project to have art on the utility boxes. We're not going to go out and paint them all at once, but it will be on a contest basis.
You got to get closer to the mic.
Closer to the mic?
Yep, there you go.
Okay, with this thing. Sorry.
There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. I can hear myself now. Okay. We are planning an art show in November, and we have reached out already to the schools and private and public, and it's open to also adults and seniors, and we're hoping that we will get a lot of participation. And we participated in a few of the Millbrae Recreation Center Advisory Committee meetings, which were earlier this year. That was very interesting. So that's what we have done. Your turn.
So now for the work plan. We are excited to represent and be the liaison between our community and the council and all of the interests that are involved in the community as far as the trends of art. We're excited about perhaps coming up with something for the community center that will be able to highlight some art out in front of that too. So our task 2 are programs and fees, and that has to do with the performing arts, participating in education and advocacy, coming up with the needed basis and decision making and regarding art installation and programming. So we're working on that. Task 3 is the visual arts show that we're going to have on November 9th and 10th. We're excited about that. If we get enough art, we hope to have that in Charcuterie Room as well as in the community center. So we're looking forward to that. November 8th is when we will be checking in the art that is going to be submitted. November 9th is our opening evening, and we will have a reception in the Charcuterie Room. And then the 10th, all day long, in both locations, we will hopefully have display all of the community art. And it will be a contest as well. We will have winners in different categories and different age groups. So we're excited about that as well. As Anne mentioned, we are putting together a utility box pilot program. There are 4 utility boxes that are our priority to paint first. And we're going to bring it to the schools and the seniors. And we're going to be asking them to submit their ideas, and there will be a selection process. Do you have any questions for us?
I do. Thank you. Wonderful plan. Very exciting. I'd like to see what happens with the utility boxes. There's been mention, you said you've identified public art throughout Millbrae. Now, there's going to be some transition in property, and particularly the El Rancho, which has some public art.
Yes.
So I've heard community members suggest that not be destroyed, that maybe the city, so we would look to you as a committee to identify that so that we can reach out to the developers or something so that that kind of art is not destroyed and maybe can be maintained in another area.
All right. We'll look into that. Thank you. We did mention that at our last meeting. We didn't go into it in depth as far as identifying what art and how many pieces of art, but we will be looking into that. Thank you.
And can we alert city staff before they go giving destruction permits of any type that, you know, we'd hate to see art being destroyed?
Yes, so Mayor, based on the inventory that the committee did, we're well aware of that. They've identified it. We discussed it at last night's committee meeting, and so we will preserve it. There are some other plans, perhaps for the art, that we can share with the City Council at a later date.
And and I'm quite aware art is different to everyone. So architecturally speaking, too.
There could be some historic value, as I understand it, in that art
historic value.
piece as well.
There's
Yeah.
a lovely fountain and that kind of stuff. So what we might not normally consider art, but architecturally speaking, would be a step in a different direction. Okay.
Very good points.
Thank you. Ms. Oliva?
On the same note, I noticed that the old Millbrae Theater, the sign that's for sale too. That whole building is for sale. So
is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I just found that out today, actually.
So I was just curious if that was already established as historic,
a landmark.
My understanding is the sign is designated locally historic, but not the building or the site.
That's exactly
so we'll work to preserve the sign, either on that site or perhaps a relocation to keep it displayed.
Yeah, we need that really. That's such a landmark. I'd like to say something else, too, if no one else. Having spoken with the previous mayor of San Francisco, who regrettably is no longer with us, there are large cities that have an enormous amount of art stored at off locations. So if we were to reach out to them and maybe get some loaner art once in a while, it could be a nice thing. According to the former Mayor Lee, they get kinds of stuff all the time donated to them that they don't put out. So it might be a lovely field trip for your subcommittee or committee to go take a look, and maybe we can work out some loaner stuff once in a while.
Another thing that we've been talking about is relocation of the gazebo. So wouldn't it be fantastic to have some loaned art be near the gazebo and celebrate both things?
Mm-hmm. And I believe was it Park and Rec? Yes, Park and Rec has found a home for that. We just haven't found the funding. It's a sore subject for them, indeed. Relocating the gazebo, I would say, also involves ADA compliance and a whole bunch of other things. So it's not as simple as one would think. But we hope to have that in the future. Ms. Schneider?
I will share real quick, if I may, through the mayor. That is a work in progress. So we're working with Public Works just to let everybody know that is a work in progress.
I'm glad Miss Hain is still in the audience, because one of the things that's talked about with the gazebo, and which is maybe another place where the youth, where the YAC and culture arts can work together, is if the gazebo can get relocated with all the ADA requirements, we can have small music presentations, and then we can make, showcase the musicians that we have at our various schools. So another place of synergy between communities.
Or just in the community, we have lots of very talented community members.
So a lot of little smaller scale, maybe even building on the movie night, because that was such a great feeling, those small community coming together events.
Thank you. It sounds like we're all on the same page.
Vice Mayor Lee?
Well, that's a great idea. I think it was Councilwoman Schneider, and I also like to thank Councilwoman Schneider for shepherding the show back and the painting of the utility boxes. I've been wanting to do that for a long time, so I'm glad that she got some traction on that. So following up on that, since we're doing these movie things, there's good people are sitting around. There's good time for people to provide entertainment, show off their skills. Just this afternoon, we had 4 Mills students, garage band, play, and they were pretty good. So I think that a lot of them would love to have the opportunity to perform. Thank you.
And I see here in your plan, approach Kelly Moore and Sherwin Williams in Millbrae to donate supplies. So we'll throw that out there if there's representatives listening. I don't think that's going to be helpful, but if they care to assist, yes.
There was an idea that the mayor had quite a few years ago. We have some empty storefronts, and perhaps you can draw more people into the show by exhibiting them in some of those storefronts. This was a program that the mayor started a while ago. You can maybe continue on that.
That's a good idea. We need to clean the windows, too.
Yes. Yes, Ms. Schneider?
Just to add to that, interim city manager, in the past, this committee had asked the previous city manager if some art pieces could be hung in City Hall. And the concern was that there was a remodeling project underway, but that was something else that we had talked about a long time ago. Now, I know, since we just had our meeting last night, the committee is a little nervous. They've got 2 big projects all rolling out in the next 3 months, but you've got 11 months left or 10 months left on the work plan on that. But having some space, being able to showcase either our Millbrae Camera Club or other artists. I know that Taylor produces some fabulous artists for the Lions Peace Prize every year. There are just some really neat things we could get hanging up, and that could be the beginning of that storefront art project. Or the restaurants in town, if they are willing to show art. It's Phil's Coffee in San Mateo near B Street, and they show a lot of community artists, some for sale, some not, but it just kind of adds to that sense of community.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Pape Meats had some displays up recently. I will mention to you that the library has a showcase that they took some stuff from City Hall and put in there, but they're very open to displaying different things. The librarian is eager to join with you all, so I suggest you reach out to her and see what we can do. So very exciting all around. Please keep us informed. Okay, motion on the plan, people. Okay, motion by Mr. Holliber, second by Ms. Schneider. Your votes, please. Thank you all for your hard work and effort.
The Council unanimously adopted the fiscal year 2018-2019 Cultural Arts Advisory Committee Work Plan.
Last but not least, adoption of the fiscal year 2018-2019 Park and Recreation Committee Work Plan.
Come on up, Julie. Standing here. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor Pappen and council members. I'm trying to lean in a little bit.
If you want.
Oh, I don't need that. That's fine. That's fine. I'm John Kiefer, and I am the recently elected chair of the Parks and Recreation Commission. And this is Julie Turner, our Vice Commissioner. And there's a member of staff back there, Mackenzie Brady, that would like to thank for all the work that she does and all the help that she provides us. We are seeking your approval tonight of our work plan because we have a lot of things that we are working on, and we always like to heap more on top of what we're already doing. So let's, first of all, great. Good. Just to cover who is actually on the Parks and Recreation Commission. Me, Julie, Chris Del Negro, and Dan Quigg. Notice that our term expirations are, actually Dan is 2019, and the rest of us are 2020. We also have a vacancy, so we are looking for anybody that would like to step up and join our commission and contribute to the good work that we think that we're doing.
And they can do that online, is that correct?
They can do that online, or I think they can reach out to the to staff, city council, right? Sorry?
City clerk.
City clerk. City clerk.
Yep.
Okay. A little bit about what we have done in the past year is successfully have reached out to the City County Association of Governments, CCAG, San Mateo County, which is for the betterment of life, is the objective of the organization. And we've secured some grants. One of the things we'd like to really accomplish further is to connect the spur trail. You're all familiar with that. We have a couple of treacherous crossings with the spur trail, so we'll have to address that and figure out some creative ways to get around Millbrae. Well, we'd like to connect that so we have mobility and that we have safe crossings around town for bicycles, for youth, and for people that just want to be actively mobile. We have spent a lot of time, obviously, reviewing the new recreation center designs that have been presented to us, and all of us have been very involved in all those outreach meetings. We have done an evaluation of Carducci and Associates, who did a park inventory report, very in-depth, and we can see that a lot of parks in the Millbrae area need an upgrade, that we will have to do some capital improvements. And if you go out to some of those, you'll find out very readily that there's benches that are overturned or cracked, and they're not really functioning the way that they should function. It will take a lot of money to get them up to a level that we would like to see. We've done consideration of additional recreation programs for youth and adults, including we got the Roller Girls. If you haven't gone out and seen the Roller Girls in action, they are fantastic. They would go around in a ring, in a circle out on the tennis courts, out by the footprint of the recreation center. And they're just delightful young ladies, and we're really happy to welcome them into our community. Pretty much they came up to us from down the peninsula, but hopefully we can get more Millbrae youth and young women involved with the organization. It seems fantastic. We're also looking, as I said, about safe bike and pedestrian routes. We spent a lot of time discussing that and a lot of plans. Chris Del Negro has really been leading the cause to get us some safe bike routes, and he's put a lot of thought into that. And I know he's presented that idea to you in the past, so something that we can continue to work on. Establishment of our fee schedule for the Park and Rec Center, and we've spent a lot of time working on that. Hopefully we can finish everything up and get that into place. Also, we provide and have provided communication and input to and with field user groups to keep everybody happy. And with the different sports, sometimes things overlap, but we like to keep everybody in good spirits and accommodate their needs. Priority projects that have been, how long have you been working on these, Julie? We have done a cost analysis. Yeah, cost analysis of a community garden. One of the things that we would like to put into place. recommissioning of Mills Estate Park, something that's a much bigger project, but we're thinking about the possibility of turning that into a functional athletic field as opposed to the rundown state and the non-use that we're currently experiencing with that park. And establishment of a formal dog park. We keep working on that one. And this is our work plan for fiscal 18 and 19. Obviously, advisory body to the City Council, recommending ideas as defined in the municipal code. We're keeping abreast of current and emerging issues in parks and recreation. Task number 2, advisory body for active transportation plan is an ongoing activity, serve as a recommending body surrounding matters dealing with bike and pedestrian safety. Task number 3, programs and fees, as I indicated. That again is our fee schedule. Review of recreation center design. We'll continue to do that. We're going to have more outreach going on as we roll into the fall. Review of capital improvement plan, as I indicated again, with Carducci providing their state of our parks. So we're continually reviewing and making recommendations to the City Council regarding the CIP for parks and recreation facilities. And task number 6, staff support and funding opportunity review. Provide support to parks and recreation staff for managing prioritization of demand for limited park and recreation resources, as well as recommend and provide feedback on funding opportunities available to improve city's system of parks, playground, and recreation facilities. Whew. That was one that we spent a lot of time writing out. So that is our work plan for 18 and 19. We hope that if you have any questions, we'd love to entertain those at this time, and we'd love to have that approved.
Ms. Schneider.
I want to do a little bit of background. I serve on the City County Association of Governments Bike and Pedestrian Committee, and generally that committee gives out money. So it's actually pretty fun. But one of the things that the committee is doing, and each year we modify the grant application form and we modify the grading, which is how many points you get for different things. And one of the things that's happening is if communities don't have a real, true bike and pedestrian committee, meaning noticed meetings, minutes, very important, minutes taken of those meetings, it may prevent those communities that don't have that from applying to the grants. And I've been on it for about 2.5 years now. Most cities have a standalone bike pedestrian committee. Sometimes they're part of a transportation committee or something like that. But the real critical thing is a standalone set of meetings, that there is a pedestrian representative on that committee. So it's not just bicycle, it's also pedestrian. So with our protocol, I can't go to Park and Rec Commission meetings and they're not televised. So I'm hoping that you're working in that direction, that we really have to have a set of minutes, because those next sets of grants are going to require, I believe, copies of minutes on that.
That's good to know.
So just throwing that out there. The other thing...
we are actively working on that, by the way. We just haven't formalized it to the degree
I'm encouraging us to not lose the opportunity of grant funding, because we did really well last year and got that 240 key. Mr. Lim will correct me, but we got almost $250,000, which is helping to create those safe crosswalks, at least on Laurel and Hillcrest and Millbrae Avenue. So we need more of that. The other...
Before you go on, may I?
Sure.
Okay. So along those lines... might I suggest that this proposed plan have an element here? It used to be that the City Council would meet and then we'd kind of meet in a separate way for redevelopment or something. So can Park and Rec do something similar where they have their regular meeting and then they have a short, brief, official bicycle?
Bike pedestrian?
Bike pedestrian meeting? Can we do that so that we could qualify for funding?
I think it's a great idea. Pedestrian, there's a greater emphasis now on pedestrian, so it's not just bicycle. In fact, we're all learning what it means when you say pedestrian facilities, aka a bench, a drinking fountain, things like that all qualify as a facility.
Legal counsel, I'm just trying to figure out if we could do this.
Looking at the Parks and Recreation Commission from the municipal code, and certainly these kinds of facilities would fall within the purview of the commission. What I'm hearing Councilmember Schneider say, and I believe it is true, is that perhaps a more focused, formally created committee on bicycle and pedestrian facilities might give more oomph to.
So, would this be?
I think that's what other cities do. So if you created some kind of a committee rather than just ask the commission to morph into something
We have a
else.
subcommittee within the commission.
Well,
right?
we need to formalize something. Ms. Turner? So this might be the exact time to do that.
So we, as Member Holliber has mentioned, we do have a subcommittee. So if the request from Mayor Pappen is to simply have a formal set of minutes when that subcommittee meets, I think we can accommodate that.
I think we have to ask Ms. Schneider, is that going to qualify?
I think if that's an interim solution, that's a step in the right direction. I think specifically what they are looking for is a member of the public who is known to be an advocate for pedestrians, just like you've got Christopher Del Negro, who's obviously an advocate for cyclists. But you need an advocate for the pedestrian side of that. A great model is right next door in San Bruno. Mr. Lim has presented there. Chris Del Negro, together you did a presentation there. But again, I'm okay if we do an interim position, but a standalone is probably stronger, and there are going to be more funds coming along with this. And with the active transportation plan, there's going to be a change in emphasis. But I mean, if the interim is if the Bike Pedestrian Committee met prior to Park and Rec rather than at the end of the night, and you can get a pedestrian member, I think we're hitting all of the bases that way. But the problem with the commission is if there's not, that means that new opening really is a spot or a slot then for a pedestrian advocate.
I think, so if this might work, can Park and Rec officially call your subcommittee the Bicycle Pedestrian Committee, formally name it as such, keep separate minutes. Not sure the definition of pedestrian, but we're all walking around here and have children that walk around, so please be sensitive to that. I think because we don't want to lose any potential funding here. So legal counsel, would that be possible? Whisper, whisper, whisper. We're asking for a legal opinion.
I'm so sorry.
So if Park and Rec formalized this subcommittee in such a way that it met the standards for funding and kept separate minutes for that subcommittee, can we do that, Ms. Oliva?
Mayor, why don't we have direct or ask staff to find out what we need to do, and we can bring it up at the next meeting?
Well, I'm worried about funding thing right now, and they're giving us their plan. How about we have them adjust their plan?
But we could ask for the plan to be put into the plan, but let's find out what we need to do.
So I suppose let's find out, as has been suggested, what CCAG will find most compelling and what they're looking for. If the commission establishes a subcommittee, the subcommittee reports to the commission, and then the commission reports to the council, it's rather indirect. Let's find out if those that will be looking and grading grants are wanting some input from bicyclists and pedestrian advocates that's more direct to the council and the commission. I mean, certainly I don't want to bypass the commission. This is a subject related to their jurisdictional area. Let's find out. I think that's a good idea, to find out what they want, rather than kind of create something that may or may not be what they want.
Mr. Holliber?
Well, perhaps part of the solution could be, when we go out to seek grants, before just submitting it, maybe you bring it up to the commission as an advisory item, like is this something that the commission wants? Is this where you think is a good use of resources for trying to, if we were to get a grant, is this the project that you would want, and have some type of formal approval or at least recommendation from the commission before it's then submitted to CCAG or to MTC or whoever submits these grants?
I don't think we've met a grant we don't like.
No, I agree, but
along those lines.
I mean, the other idea that your city manager and I were just discussing is possibly tweaking the code to be more clear that the commission will simultaneously serve as the city's bike and pedestrian committee. I mean, that could be something, but I think we need something organic that we can show. Here are our advocates for bicycle pedestrian. Yeah. Either it becomes part of the commission, the commission's own code functions.
We do have a subcommittee, a BPAC subcommittee. So
I just want to emphasize what Ms. Schneider was suggesting here. Time is of the essence when you deal with this grant stuff. Yep. So we don't want to hear about this next year. We kind of need to figure this out as quickly as possible.
Like 48 hours, I think, last time.
48 hours, sure.
On acceptance of this task, can we just add a task to please have a formation of a subcommittee for pedestrian bicycle? What?
We do have a subcommittee in place.
Okay, so
I think it's just how do we formalize the structure of that committee, and do we have minutes?
Yeah,
formalized. Yes.
Yes.
So once we get to take action to accept this, we can add
and I think part of that task should be the most appropriate way, as you said, exploring the formality of making this work.
Yeah, make it a task, or
that's what she
says.
Put
it in the work.
Yeah. So as part of that additional task,
it's sort of in the work plan right here under task number 2.
And then sadly, I've got 2 more.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to get on the same page.
I can't see it.
Wait a minute. Let's see. Is that number 2?
Task number 2 encompasses.
Do you read that for the audience?
But it
formalities in it.
Use the words.
I think we understand the objective, which is to get a BPAC officially adopted by the City Council through a resolution or through an ordinance amendment that we will be competitive in the grant process as we provide documentation to whatever organization is issuing the grant, that it solidifies that we do have a BPAC.
So we are formally asking you to change your task 2 to be more specific.
That's fine. And I think that maybe what we could do is hold that subcommittee meeting on a more regular basis. Maybe meet a half an hour before our regular meeting. Definitely not at the end, because sometimes they go a little bit over.
Okay, so to make this work, I am suggesting that McKinsey work with legal counsel and Ms. Schneider as far as how we formalize this to work in a successful way. Is that okay?
That's fantastic. We're absolutely 100%
And the city
on
manager,
board with
excuse
that.
me, Mr. Williams, my apologies. Okay, and Ms. Schneider had some additional questions.
I'm trying to pull up your work plan. I know it's probably in there, but what I would truly love to see, and we have talked about it, and we're going to have a joint school board meeting in a couple of weeks, is that maybe by next summer we have an aquatics program, even if it's just lap swim or tiny tots or basic swim lessons. I would love to see that as a standalone task. And the third one, we were fortunate a year and a half ago because of a principal at Meadows High School, Dana Lujan, who also serves on the county BPAC, of having a bike rodeo. And for the public, a bike rodeo is an event where families, especially families with children, are invited. The children and adults can get free helmets. The kids can go through a par course, or basically an obstacle course, to learn how to run their bicycles, and they learn about bike safety. It's in partnership partnership with the sheriffs. And in the case of the one a year and a half ago, the Lions provided food and gave money for helmets, although the fire department also has money for helmets. We didn't get that grant last year, so we didn't have a bike rodeo. And about 3 weeks ago, I was driving up Taylor Boulevard, and I saw two young boys coming down Poplar. They made a turn and smashed right into a pole. So the guy, and neither of them were wearing helmets. Now, they were tweens. They may have chosen not to wear helmets, but I'd love to make sure that we're getting helmets to all our kids. So I want to make sure that we don't lose track of a bike rodeo. We're small, maybe every year is too often, but I would love to see you consider and maybe work. We're just so fortunate that we have Dana at Meadows. That may not always be the case, that we formalize the bike rodeo and the bicycle safety program.
I think that would fall under an event that we could agendize and probably have staff help us with that.
And again, I need to interrupt for 1 second, if I might, along the same lines, please. Thank you. That usually falls under safe routes to school, and so the school district might be the way to go about that. And CCAG does give money in their safe routes to school, and I think that also plays into the, what's the committee Mr. Ford runs? Commute.org also. So I think there is funding out there, is what I'm trying to say.
San Mateo County, correct.
Yeah, well, CCAG, the City and County Association of Governments, has specific money for safe routes to school. And in the past, I do believe that the rodeos, bicycle rodeos, have been funded through that source. So again, it's probably, we could look on the CCAG website for that. But that's where we would find that. So I apologize for interrupting.
No, I would just say the same thing. I think once we have a more formalized bike pedestrian committee, it becomes that concentration point that we can keep an eye on these. And we won't always have Dana as the principal at Meadows. Hopefully we don't lose her, but she wrote the grant, and we all benefited from that.
Okay. And John Ford would be our best contact for that?
That's just one.
You're going to put his name out there, and he's going to hate me because
that's okay.
I'm on another committee. Exactly.
It's also CCAG, and is it Ruben or I'm CCAG. He's We'll figure it out. We'll get you the info.
There's also the Transportation Authority, which we got a grant for a Safe Route to School project last year that we are working on the design to putting in bike lane on Richmond and Magnolia to connect to the TDA Article 3 project.
All these different associations, wherever we can find it.
About the acronyms. And I would like to say in closing.
You can't close yet. I think Ms. Schneider had another question.
No, you haven't.
You are? Okay.
Thank you. I love everything you guys do, and movie night was fabulous.
Okay. And I guess we're also working on the gazebo, so that seems to be an urgent, pressing matter with a couple of our commissions, and short of a couple of people volunteering to get a large truck to get it in place, which we don't really recommend that route, but we would love to see that go into place.
Cultural Arts offered to pick it up themselves and carry it here.
Yeah, we've had kind of the same sentiment that has been on our commission.
Well, I do know our interim city manager has been trying to assist in making that happen.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I think we should state that the Park and Rec Commission has determined that the new location for the gazebo should be in the park area behind the library, which is a lovely setting. Excuse me, sir?
La Serena Plaza.
La Serena Plaza. Thank you very much. So lovely setting, I agree. Nicely done. I know there were all kinds of discussions as to where it would go. So that would be a great setting in the future, should it ever come to fruition, for weddings, for music in the park, all kinds of things. I do have one question, though. Speaking of dog parks,
yes.
Did the master plan include the PUC land, finally?
It also made a recommendation about using the spur trail, is what Carducci had also recommended, by the high school specifically. So, which might actually not be a bad idea, considering the fact that we have a skate park that's kind of being vandalized. And maybe if there were more people around that, we could keep that under control.
Well, we hope.
We welcome all good ideas.
The dog population is
getting larger, and we're doing nothing about it.
Millbrae, and Yeah, we ask that everybody please remember clean up after your puppies. That's important too. So until then, there is an unofficial dog park group that we have a nonprofit number and everything else. We just don't have any funds at this point in time, but we do exist still, and we look forward to after November, hopefully pursuing that as well. Thank you for all your hard work and effort.
Thank you.
And we have a motion, please. A motion from Ms. Schneider. A second from Vice Mayor Lee. Your votes, please. Park and Rec work plan with certain adjustments.
And Mayor, if I may make a few comments, I've seen that some of the other committee and commission members have left, but from staff's point of view, and since I've been on board, it's been fantastic working with all of the dedicated committee and commission members. You treat staff with great respect, and I've witnessed just great relationships between committee members and our staff, and so I thank you and all the committee members for that and your volunteer work and all the countless hours to make this city a better place.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we almost had a dog park grant this year. We just missed out. Thank you to Mackenzie Brady for also all of your hard work in keeping the recreation facilities going. It's been wonderful. Okay,
Let me read.
Yes.
Okay. The council unanimously adopted the Parks and Recreation Commission work plan for 2018 to 2019.
With an amendment to Task 2.
With amendment to Task 2.
Okay, moving on to council comments. We're doing well, and we have a closed session. I'll remind everyone. Vice Mayor Lee, would you like to go first?
Yeah, thank you. There's to the Peninsula Clean Energy. We are on the process of hiring a new finance director. I understand they have narrowed down to 2 candidates. We've sorely needed one. The good news is that Peninsula Clean Energy has about $32 million in the bank, but they're being constantly, all of the community choice aggregates, CCAs, which Peninsula Clean Energy is are being assaulted by different groups, especially PG&E, who want to, of course, see them gone. And the PUC are not being very supportive on that respect, and constantly have to watch the Senate. Jerry Hill, thank you to Jerry Hill. He voted down one of the bills that tried to take the CCAs down a notch. Also, there's a Peninsula Clean Energy invested in a large solar project called Wright Solar Ground. It's near, I want to say, Orville Dam. And so they chartered a bus. So if you're interested, I think you all got cards. You can RSVP as soon as possible. It's on October 11th. Yes, ma'am. Los Baños, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. And then the Grand Boulevard initiatives, they're having a grand tour on September 26th. That should be pretty interesting, but it's during the day, 9 to 12. And I guess you just go down to the website and RSVP there. And the Congestion Management Environment Quality Committee, we're still working on, the toll roads and the controlled roads. Those are, you see, we're slowly working towards getting adding another lane to 101. And so that's a slow project, but hopefully it'll come to fruition before I get too old to drive. Yeah. And that's pretty much it, I think. Thank you.
Okay. As was discussed in the previous item, I attended the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting last month, and there was a very interesting, informative presentation on the Parks Master Plan, and it's certainly a challenge in terms of all of the various needs and various projects that were identified in that plan. And even some parks, such as, I believe, Bayside Manor Park was considered the highest priority. And it certainly is a park that could use a lot of room, or a lot of improvement, but has not always been necessarily near the top of the radar for the different projects that we've been considering within our inventory here. So a lot of different competing priorities. There are impact fees coming down the road, so good to have that plan in place so that we know what to do when those fees come in. And then. Oh, sure.
Sorry to interrupt. Just we do have an update that we are interviewing firms next week, and we'll select a firm to bring to the City Council so we can get that AB 1600 development impact fee study to you, hopefully as early as possible. So probably January, February.
Wonderful. Let's see. I also attended a webinar yesterday for the Caltrain Local Policymakers Group, discussing the business plan for the next 25 years of Caltrain, looking at both some of the projects that we do anticipate to be completed by then, such as electrification, presumably high-speed rail, and the downtown DTX extension in San Francisco. But then also looking at the possibilities of some more, I would say, grandiose type of sort of pie-in-the-sky projects, such as a second Transbay tube, connections with the Dumbarton Rail Corridor, and possibly connections to Monterey County as well. So very interesting. Caltrain has and long has been a two-track system going in two directions along one corridor. But the potential does exist to really expand it and to be more connective to various transit systems throughout the greater Bay Area and region. And then another reminder, I believe Mr. Williams mentioned earlier in the meeting, but we do have another workshop coming up on the Recreation Center design that is next Tuesday at 7 o'clock, I believe, and that is in the temporary Rec Center building, joint meeting with the council and the Planning Commission, or the Parks and Rec Commission, but all are welcome to attend and provide input. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Ms. Leva, or
I guess it's September. We're back to the grind again. But to start it out with a big thanks, I think, to our Chamber of Commerce for our Art and Wine Festival. The weather was perfect. The turnout was incredible. The traffic on El Camino was at a dead stop at times. People were pouring out of BART and crossing the street to come over to our city, and I think we looked really well. So I thank them.
I always like to thank the Westin, too. I met several people that they invited over that were guests to check out the Art and Wine Festival. It was kind of nice. We had a lot of visitors from out of town.
Again, coming off of summer vacation, most of my committees have not met. You already heard what Cultural Arts has been up to, and Community Enhancement also met, and the work plan will be coming in 2 weeks. They've added a few items from what was originally given to them, but I think they are excited about hiring a full-time code enforcement officer, and they have a new member. We have a new young person, Brandon Chan, who joined and attended his first meeting. I'm happy because he also has a minor from his college degree in environmental policy. So when they start working on the climate action plan, we've got some people all ready for that. The fire subcommittee is meeting this coming Monday. I hope, City Manager, that we're going to talk about the Get Ready plan. The Emergency Operations Council is meeting in another week and a half. We haven't met since, April, I believe, and that was before the very early fire season. So the Get Ready program, for anybody who's still watching right now, is how to look at your own home and make sure you have a go bag that if there is a fire or an earthquake or a flood, you can grab your medications, you've got your list of prescriptions, you have a change of clothes, you've got water, you've got the prescriptions for your animals, an animal carrier if that be the case, and you are ready to go. The other part of the Get Ready program is, and it's not something that we have long thought about because we don't have the fires that Santa Rosa has had or Lake County or even the fire 2 days ago from Alameda County, is we should all be looking around our homes. We should be trying to cut back dead debris, trying to cut back branches that are touching our roofs, any of those things that contribute to a fire. And until we have a more formal program in Millbrae, we do have a formal program. We do have a fire inspector who tells residents to cut back, but we have canyons that have never had a fire. And it is my push within emergency services as well as with the fire subcommittee that we really start getting ourselves ready for that, because all it takes is one fire jumping 280. And that part of 280, the SF wetlands have never burned either. And I don't want to scare anybody, but let's all use, this is Disaster Preparedness Month. The county, I didn't write down the date, and maybe we can get that into a Trent, did you do that already? The county Get Ready?
So we're working on something, part of it. It's Ready, Set, Go.
Okay. I'll repeat it. So our community will have something out on Nextdoor and in the city newsletter about how to get ready. It's called Ready, Set, Go. This is the time to really think. I actually have my go bag. I'm feeling very proud. I have my go bag ready. I don't have...
September 22nd.
So September 22nd down at the county, you can pick up the various materials for that. Please use this month to think about your family. Make sure that your family, that you've got a phone number outside the area. If we have a fire here, you won't be able to call locally. You want to call a family member in a outside area. This is all part of the Get Ready program. So this is the month. Think about it. I also wanted to say hats off to the county because last year we were so hot during the Art and Wine Festival. We were 104 degrees. No one came on Saturday. So if people are wondering why there's some fewer booths, they lost money last year. But this year we had the cooling center all set up. We didn't need it. And I heard that the people with their booths made more money by lunchtime on Saturday than they made last year. So thank you for our booth people who stuck us through after a horrible last year on that. And I apologize to the mayor. The mayor created a bike sharing subcommittee. I've been trying to include the bike committee with that, and we've had a problem over the summer of getting together, but it's fall now, time to get back together. And I know you all are seeing the Lime bikes around. I'm seeing them around. We might want to work on a short term. What do you do if you see them kind of abandoned on there? But there should be a plan coming forward shortly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I've got a reminder that I signed a letter in support of the clean energy opposition to PG&E efforts on behalf of the city. Today, again, thank you to all the city staff for City Services Day and the teen band that was out, Chance of, what's it called? Rain. Chance of Rain. Mark Kelly, Kelly Chan, Ryan Fung, and Jax Aquino. Try to read Vice Mayor Lee's handwriting. So thank you, everyone there. If you've noticed a lot of traffic in downtown San Francisco, welcome to the Governor's Climate Control program from throughout the country and the world. People are meeting in San Francisco and San Mateo County in support of all the climate control efforts. There are programs. There's going to be one at Genentech, I believe, that the County of San Mateo is having. There's several programs downtown. I'm going to attend one on Wednesday. So compliments to the governor for putting this program together, and hopefully we will seek new heights there. I hope I'm not doing a spoiler alert here, but thank you to SFO for pursuing their efforts with BART on the connection between the Millbrae BART station and the airport. It appears that, luckily, we might have a direct connection come February every half an hour, which is a start. Yes, Mr. Holliber.
Just for a quick comment on that, we do have a direct connection from Samtrans.
Every half hour, right now.
I think even more frequent than that. It's quite frequent.
thank you to Samtrans for stepping up. This is a wonderful.
And it starts early in the morning. It goes pretty late at night. So, and it's only $2.25, some give or take.
So you can get
person.
the Samtrans bus at the Millbrae Caltrain station and go right into the airport. We want to. Samtrans has been great in that it's a wonderful bus too. You can't miss it. I think it's got airport written all over it. So please, we encourage everyone, take advantage of that. It's a great service. And we'll see if Bart actually comes through in February on the other thing. So great efforts on that point. And, check out the county voter program. So there was a special program occurring in San Mateo County in the last election, and the voter turnout was enormously improved. There's a report that was just released, and I'm having trouble. I can't download it on my phone, so sorry about that. But amazing numbers in voter turnout. This is in mail-in only ballot again come November. So anything that's postmarked until the day of the election will count. We do encourage everybody, please, and I think the last day to register is October 20th? 23rd? Don't quote us on that because we don't have an official thing, but you can still register to vote if you have not done so yet. And a couple things here. Sal's Food, Wine, and Heroes Dinner is Friday the 14th coming up. That Sal is the Sheriff's Athletic League, is that correct? Activity League, which Miss Oliva is on the board.
And we have attendance from this group.
And we have attendance from this. Oh, yeah. I think I'm supposed to be there, huh? Okay. There's a joint meeting between the Millbrae School District and City Council, correct? Coming up? Or they're hosting one?
They're hosting it. It will be the morning of the 20th, and I'll be sending something out to the City Council tomorrow.
Okay. Millbrae Goes to the Movies, again, Wrinkle in Time on Friday the 21st. And the San Mateo County Disaster Program, which Ms. Schneider mentioned, on the 22nd. And Cancer Society's Relay for Life here in Millbrae on the 22nd and 23rd. Okay, I think we got everything there. We have to go to a closed session. But, hold on, I'm not done yet. Again, we have the 9/11 remembrance, but we also have to adjourn tonight's meeting in memory of 6 people who have recently passed away, near and dear to many here. We are closing in memory of Richard John Schneider, Ms. Schneider's father, who passed away on August 13th. Our thoughts and prayers are with you all. We are closing in memory of Senator John McCain, who passed away on August 25th. Closing in memory and honor of 3 other Millbrae residents, Lois Pape, who passed away on August 29th, June Sartor, who passed away on August 1st, and Anthony Alfred Pellerano, who passed away on June 16th. We are closing in memory of, in addition to, Francis Duran, who passed away on July 23rd, the brother of our city clerk, Elena Suazos. My apologies. So sadly, we have a lot of losses this year. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone and their families. It's a very difficult time. So with that, we will close and retreat to a closed session.
For the record, to discuss labor negotiations with Teamsters Local 856, their miscellaneous unit, as well as negotiations with Teamsters Local 856, the sanitation division, and unrepresented management. So the council will be meeting with its labor negotiator, and we will have any report out next month. Next meeting, sorry.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Good night.